this was a heinous murder, and if the court or anyone in this courtroom thinks for 1 minute that I don't feel for Sebastian's family, that's just simply not true. But the killer in this case is Mr. Pirtle, not Ms. Mishaw. The evidence in this case, I think, just from the one witness, who, by the way, gave so many inconsistent statements as it pertains to my client, I think that Mr. Cush was pretty much spot on with Mr. Pirtle for the majority of his statements that he made. Regarding Ms. Mishaw, he was all over the place. 1 minute she was there, she says turn out the lights. The next minute she appears to be the victim of domestic violence and sits there and says nothing and does nothing. In fact, that part is actually throughout the entire investigation. Mr. Cush makes it clear throughout it. Ms. Mishaw doesn't say anything. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't bring the knife. She doesn't give Mr. Pirtle the knife. She doesn't encourage Mr. Pirtle to kill Sebastian.
My son was a good boy. Not many fathers can say how much they knew that their son cared and loved them. I'm one of those few. I don't know what went on in that house. I wasn't there. What I do know is that they went to that house, her and her partner, in a stolen vehicle. They played games, laughed and joked a few hours, went outside, had a discussion, went back in the house, killed my son. They left. Couldn't start that car that they came in, right? So somebody had to go back in that house and look for my son's truck keys. You know, I'm not saying that she was involved in the stabbings and all that. I don't know that. But I can tell you this. I've seen people do more time for being somewhere than she's getting.
Something was very wrong. Inside, my husband saw Bash on the floor of his kitchen. There was blood everywhere. I heard Billy make the most horrifying cry. Oh, God. Bash, no! I'll never forget that sound as long as I live in the brokenness of his voice. Bash had been brutally murdered. I was steps behind, so I saw him too. Billy told me to get out and call 911. I remember asking Billy if he was dead. Billy said, I've seen dead. Billy's a military veteran. He's gone, he said, I've seen dead. We later found that he'd been stabbed at least 73 times.
They brutally lost a son, a father, a brother, a friend, a nephew, a member of our community. But here, when we're in court, we can't just rely on those feelings. And as prosecutors, we have ethical and legal obligations and that we are bound by, and we are bound to follow the law. We are bound to be truthful in the evidence that we disclose, the good, the bad, favorable, unfavorable. We must make decisions that are difficult when witnesses may lose their credibility and change their stories. We're bound by rules of evidence about what prior acts or behaviors we can present in court. And while that's frustrating, that law is something that we have followed throughout this process and that we have followed today as we have painstakingly gone through the calculation of the guidelines, fitting the facts to what's appropriate, and it's based off of following that law that we request the court to consider the brutal nature of this offense. Also, Ms. Mishaw's failure to abide by her bond conditions when she was previously out on bond, and to sentence her at the top of those guidelines to a term of imprisonment in MDOC.